So I was sheltered from most of that of worldly talk, just why I wouldn't need to know about sex abuse and all that stuff.
Hi, my name is Michael Alexander. Thank you for tuning in to whatever this is. Like many people, I've had a lot of time to evaluate my life and reassess things that I need to change. And one of those is I've become quite complacent. That's why I've decided to create this. It's a place where I hope to have some really interesting conversations, some taboo, some inspiring, some sad, but a place that I can learn and find myself through someone else's stories. About a week ago, I came across an organization called RAIN, and they're a nonprofit organization that helps sexual abuse victims and abuse victims, linking them with the resources they need. So, one of the reasons I chose to look into RAIN was I am a sexual abuse survivor myself. I was molested from the age of 9 to 12, and this incident shaped who I am in many ways. Working through that trauma took years and is still ongoing. I want to share this information in hopes that other people can relate and also not feel the shame that I've felt in holding on to it and in making myself feel less than. I no longer want to do that, and I hope if you've gone through something similar that you find courage to reach out and get help, because it's not something that's uncommon and you're not alone. While I was on the RAIN website, I came across a personal story of Pierre Chambers. I sat down with him via a Zoom call and we talked about his experience. I hope you take something out of it and walk into this world just a little bit more empathetic, because I know that I did. How you doing?
You're good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for agreeing to do this.
Yes, sir.
It always feels like a heavy conversation to talk about any sort of sexual abuse or trauma. What kind of ways have you learned to make the conversation a little bit more palatable for people who haven't experienced this type of trauma?
It's kind of hard, because when you're explaining something as sensitive as this subject, when you're sharing, you don't actually know what the other person's response may be. Would they do something with it? Would they look at me differently? So a lot of that. So I just I kind of usher it in.
How did you get to the spot where you're like, this is something I'm willing to share very openly and advocate for?
You have to own it's a part of you. It's if you deny that experience, you're denying almost yourself.
Yeah.
And also being able to help
Yeah.
somebody else. I always thought of and think of the next victim who is still in it, don't know how to get out of it, don't have nobody to talk to. So we're advocating for that person. We're almost little mini superheroes, and you can hear the cries, but we need people like me and yourself to own what we are, so we can put that badge of superhero on us, and so we can go out there and fight and save those who don't have a voice or they just don't even know what trouble they're in.
When I try to look back at my own experience of like during the process and during the trauma and abuse, I think if I saw someone talking about it, would I even realize that's what was going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure I would, just because of the nature of abuse and sexual abuse. What about for you?
It's the same thing. I wouldn't have, and I think it really has to do with what age at the time the victim is in. For me, it was very adolescent. So I was, 11, 12, 13, so I'm a young boy. We were raised in a church. It was strict Pentecostal. So I was sheltered from most of that of worldly talk, just why I wouldn't need to know about sex abuse and all that stuff. So I didn't know what that was. Sex abuse for me was a continuous thing. This went on for 3-4 years, and I ain't thinking it was sexual abuse, It was, and I know you're about to hop into it. The grooming, it took time
for me, the grooming process was very much the little acts of like, you know, like just that slow manipulation of your mind into thinking this is the norm. Is that how it was for you? Like,
yes, because the first encounter was, and this was involved in the church. So my perpetrator was the youth minister, youth pastor. So, you know, he'll have the group, he'll have the youth hangouts at his house, and, you know, and so, you know, we all, the little boys, were fighting, and, you know, the norm, you know, having a good time, you know, innocent, what we do, you know, wrestling was a thing back, you know, it was the thing, you know, back NWO, Hulk Hogan, all this stuff, you know, so, you know, we was in it, you know, we was going from the couch, elbows, everything. You know? You get that introduction, and here's this groping. Physically groping, you know, we guys, hey man, you know, stop, man, what you doing, man, don't do, you know. And there was a group of us, so I witnessed with my eyes, and he did it to a few, you know, and they were all kind of, hey man, stop, man, you know, normal stuff. And with me at the time, he did, and it was just, so he almost was, that was the kind of like looking to see who he may devour. That's in the scriptures, you know, the enemy. So that's what he was doing. He was trying to see who was weak, who was open, you know. And so it happened to be me, and it stuck with me. That was the start. It was the groping, and then from there, the grooming, because he's seen I had an interest in ministry. Ding, you know, that was doors that are open, that he or she could have come through and use, and then start chipping away. He wasn't just the youth pastor; he was the church secretary, and then he was also the right hand man to the bishop of the church. Meaning he had the keys. You know, he can go in there and on people's on off day when it's closed and just open it up. And, you know, so I went down there to the church and, you know, help clean the church up. You know, so one time while we were there, he started to do an acting, and I could. That was the first time he did it in the church, and I had and still have such a respect, because that's all I've known. Respect for the church, and not only the church building, but God.
Yeah.
And so when he started to do that act in the church. And I'm used to it at this time. You know, I can tell when he's about to do something, or if he wants to do something. I you know, it's been a while, so I know what's going on. So now I'm like, it was such a punch in the stomach. I got sick, because I'm like, not here. you know, that's how I was. You're doing it here? It finally hit me to shake me and said, something ain't been right about this whole thing, this whole ordeal. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
And shot out and ran. Didn't know where I was going, and just screaming. Just I need help. I want to be free. Something's wrong. 911, kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
And he ran after me. He chased after me. Grabbed a hold of me and just held me. And like I said, it never has been a angry kind of, you know, get over here, and, you know, none of that. It was an embrace.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was what I wanted, but from somebody else. And you running, screaming, and ain't nobody around. He became that at that moment. Wrapped his arms around me and embraced, and that was opening. You know, I don't know. I can't say if it was God. I can't say if it was the devil. Yeah. Whatever I wanted at that time, he became that. He came out of the predatorial person, right, and became that comforter, that friend. You know, because everything was done for me. You know, I have a gruesome story. You know, my perpetrator. I mean, to the fact he bathed me every day, literally. He didn't want me to bathe. He got a towel and washed me down. This is the same person that also terrorizes me. I didn't share this with my parents, it was just a certain way, they was mom and dad, but they wasn't your friend at that time. So he was that and all that and more. So that was part of the meat of the grooming. It's a trap. You're trapped. I just didn't understand. I didn't think this was a sexual thing, even though that's what was going on. He was a victim. You're blind. And you're blind by trust. You're blind by the love and the friendship.
But when did you realize that the trust was broken?
I'm going to have the boldness to say I never knew the trust to be broken. I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think we can. I don't know the even though I titled it the trust. I mean, that big issue I really get from my family, because really, even though my trust was broken,
yeah,
their trust of all was broken. My parents were busy. They were heavily involved in the church. My mother was over the Sunday school. Superintendent of the Sunday school department. My father, he was a deacon in the church, and then he was also the head over the TV broadcast ministry. They were busy, and so they put trust into the youth pastor and say, "Hey, can you pick him up?" And innocent stuff. Hey, can you pick him up? Oh yeah, I could pick up my little bro. Can you pick him up? Can you bring him to church? After we get to work, we could just go straight to church. You'll pick up from school and go straight to church, after work, night service. They want to build the trust of whoever your guardian is. They got the trust of my parents.
Yeah.
Because they're my protectors. So they have to build that trust, build that help, be kind. They ain't coming in there mean. They as kind as possible. I could do it for you. I could be there. Let me do it. I could pick them up. I can, so that's just how it starts. So not only are we groomed, I think our parents or whoever's over us at that time is groomed as well. So some kind of way, they got to get in there,
What did it look like, the journey from feeling like it's a relationship that's normal to realizing that I was preyed upon and abused? How did you make that mental shift?
Personally, subconsciously, in my body and mind started responding after about, I don't know, it was 2.5, 3 years, something like that, because the incident was between 3 and 4 years. I finally, I want to say confess. I want to release, share with my parents what was going on.
Yeah.
The one word that came out of my mouth that I could even associate what was going on with me, I said, "Mom and Dad, me and my perpetrator's name was Lemuel. I said, me and Lemuel are gay." Now, but I'm 14, 15. I don't know what that was. And my mom looked at me and she said, "That's not what this is, or that's not what that is." And so immediately, then broke down and cried. I would before I die, I think it was 3 things. I wanted to talk to the bishop of the church. Mm-hmm. The second person, I wanted to talk to my predator's his wife, and then I wanted to talk to my predator.
Yeah,
those are like the 3 interviews I would like to have before I pass. And so I put that in the book. Some people we can understand the other 2, but why you want to talk to him? Yeah. It's closure.
Have you been able or gotten to a point of forgiveness?
And I wrote it down. Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. Letting go. My mentor told me when he texted me, when you talk to Michael, let it go. Yeah. Let go so that the past does not hold you prisoner. It takes more strength to be loving, and some people don't think that. It takes a whole lot of strength to love your enemies. It takes a whole lot of strength to being able to forgive situations such as this, versus waking up every day being angry, being hateful, wanting to find them, wanting revenge. You just make it worse. And this is the end. Forgiveness is simply a gift you give to yourself. There's a lot of this stuff still going on, but there's no help. You got all kind of denominations. I'm calling them out there right now. You got the PAW, Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. You got the Baptist organizations. You got Church of God in Christ, and one of the biggest black organizations, Pentecostal organizations out there. The thing that's different, because this is very typical and known in the Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. But like you told me in the email, this doesn't and isn't talked about in the black church at all. I don't get any, I want to say love, but it's silent. It's no attention.
Yeah,
most of it is getting you're one of the first. You know, you're to me an outsider. You know, in-house.
And one thing that really stuck out to me was that you are a black man, and this is happening in the church that you grew up in. And we don't, as a society, talk about this in general. And then on top of that, people of color and black people throughout history have been desexualized and oppressed and told that they had to be macho, masculine,
right,
and not have feelings.
Right. There you go.
And for you to break down those barriers and say, this isn't the story you're selling me is not the truth. And I just think that's so courageous. And also, I could only imagine the barriers that you faced getting that truth out there.
Men as in general, and yes, black men, we don't cry.
Mm-hmm.
Or we've been told not to cry. You don't show weakness, even though you hurt. You stick in it, you stick to it. Most black cultural race, big, strong, and intimidating, I mean, that's what we're going through now with this Black Lives Matter stuff. We that was the custom to always, you got to defend your family. You got to be almost this black Hercules warrior, I mean, it's just this conditioning that we have been, said you can't be too soft. You can't, it's all right. It's all right for a white man to be gay. Black man to be gay, you really get this.
Mm.
Because it's this image of strength and strong. And so no, I've never lately have finally seen my stepfather cry. But back then I didn't see him cry. You don't see your uncles cry, and you just don't do it. Now me on the other hand, I'm a big baby man. I've been crying so much lately. But it's not weakening. I have a God has put a tenderness in my heart.
Yeah.
And being bad and all that for nothing, because, I protect people for a living. You ain't got to, you take me there, it's done. I'm military, so I'll go around, want to show this big macho badge of honor, It's, we need more love in the world.
How did you get it, like relationships, mental health? What were those struggles coming out, the ripples that have lasted in your life?
I had therapy.
Yeah.
You need people around you. It takes, like I say, it takes a village. It takes, help. So you have your parents. You have the God that you believe in. You have my own family, my wife and kids. You have mentors as a Carlton Pearson to me. So that all of them collectively giving you that courage. You preach your way out of it. You speak your way out of it. You play your way keys and drum. You play your way out of it. You do what you got to do. I've been writing this book for 5 years, all this stuff. So it was therapeutic for me. Yes, being sexually abused has messed up and interfered with my relationship. I'm going through this thing of loneliness right now, and I don't say it really. I get sad about it. I really think God is taking me to a place. Once it has to get you into a lonely place. My wife don't like to hear it. My parents don't like to hear it. We your parents. I'm your wife. I'm with you every day. How you gonna lonely? Your best friend.
Yeah.
All good. All good. But be bold enough to say it. I don't have friends. I have a lot of associates. I know a lot of people, tons of people, but I don't have. I'm on the street right now, and by myself. And I'm looking around, and you dial on your phone, and that friend is there. I mean, no matter what, they coming. They got to drop. I don't have that, and it could be of me. Trust issues. When you're around certain people, you don't want to. Because people say later, "Oh man, you really loosened up. It's been a week." So you start a job or something, be around a new crowd, and you say, well, I just want to peep out. I've been through too much. I can't go through that again. I don't want you to hurt my family. I don't want you to hurt my friends. I don't want you to hurt my daughter. Don't hurt my wife. You don't. Who's coming in? Who is that? Oh, that's Uncle so and so. Who's Uncle so? You know much about him? Oh no, I just met him. Hey, well, the parents. We as parents and we as leaders, we need to see the signs. So me being older and being the head of my own household, I have my family, I have my kids, I'm some things I want to correct because I knew what I didn't have as a child then. And I want to try to fill those loopholes in my own children. Stand in your room with your door closed. It's, what I'm saying? It's just, no, not going. What's going on? What are we doing? What are we looking at? I'm on TikTok. Let's look at it. It's not trying to be this strict bully, but it's like there's too much stuff in it. That opens the door for things like this to seep in and get in there. And the parents, just chilling. The eyes need to be wide open. Look, and it's all right to question.
Definitely. Well, I'm trying to make sure that there's nothing in my head. I know I'm going to sit down.
Talk all day. Yeah, you're going to edit and bring stuff in and out. Whatever you got to do. I appreciate it. Anyone who sees the video or whatever you do with it, they can go get the book. It's on YouTube. I'm going to say YouTube. It's through Barnes and Noble. They can go online to Barnes and Noble. You can go to the store of Barnes & Noble and they will order it for you. It's not in the stores yet. Cross your fingers. Hopefully it'll be on the shelves sometime. But it is online. Barnes & Noble. I trusted you. And it's a heck of a story. All the stuff we're talking about.
And I really appreciate your time and everything.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we'll close with that. Well, thanks, Pierre.
Appreciate it, sir. Until next time.
Yes. Have a good one.
If you are a sexual abuse victim or currently experiencing sexual abuse, please reach out to them. They are here to support you. And also, if you have the means, please donate to them. They do a lot of good. You could find their information below.